This video is brought to you by Robinhood, the free and easy to use investment and trading brokerage. Robinhood allows you to trade and buy stocks, ETFs, bonds, and cryptocurrencies completely free. Also, if you download using the link in the description below, you'll get one free stock valued up to $200 just for signing up. No, you don't have to deposit a dime, and you could become instantly a part owner in companies like Microsoft, Walmart, McDonald's, or Disney just by getting lucky. So download Robinhood today and start taking advantage of this historic 2020 stock market crash. No, that's not my full portfolio. You guys aren't ready for that just yet. What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got a couple of riveting duels for you guys to check out. Our first duel is going to feature the greatest pendulum deck that never was. Man, if you told me there was going to be an archetype where all the monsters were +1s on summon, you couldn't target them, and they were immune to card destruction, I would have been like, oh my goodness, that is going to be a tier 0 deck forever. But it never came together for Magic Specters like that. And it's actually interesting because Magic Specter is like the first pendulum deck I actually liked, because it basically plays like a control deck. It plays like Ultra Ace. It just has a whole bunch of like trap and defensive cards. So that's one aspect of Magic Specters I've always liked. Anyways, before we get into the duel, if you guys enjoy this type of content, you like these crazy duels, do me a favor and give the video a thumbs up. That way we help out the YouTube algorithm, because if you don't, I promise you guys, ain't nobody gonna see this video except for you. Anyways, let's roll this. We got RedEyes versus Magic Specters, and he's actually gonna get a bunch of pluses in this first turn. Magic Specter is one of the pendulum decks that doesn't really need its extra deck that much. Not from the sense of summoning monsters from the extra deck. Well, non-pendulums, you know what I mean. Anyways, as I said, because a lot of the monsters are +1s on summon, this means that you can routinely, even without like a Pot of Avarice, or excuse me, Pot of Extravagance, you can routinely get like a +3 fairly easily in this deck. You've got, what, 5 in the back row, 3 in the monster zones, that's 8 cards, and then you get a search during the end phase, so that's 9 cards. This is actually a +4 turn 1, but if you take the extravagance out of this, you're probably going to end up still with a +3. Now, you do got to give up your monsters to use these trap cards and these spells and whatnot, so that's always been the give and take with the Magic Specter archetype. Anyways, it's going to activate. Is that Sonic's? No, that's a different card. Anyways, this is Magic Specter Super Fuel, which stops your opponents from being able to negate your Magic Specter effects. His opponent's playing RedEyes, and it doesn't look like a greatest opening hand, but hey, you still got RedEyes. You still got RedEyes Fusion, and that goes in the Dragoon of RedEyes, and ain't none of these cards limited in the TCG. So I honestly was like, I don't know how he's gonna actually get around this, because Magic Specters, they do rely on targeting a lot, but he actually has a little bit of an ace up his sleeve. Check out the monster in his hand, running that copy of White Wing Magician, one of those Zark cards. And this is a really good card in Magic Specters because it is a wind spellcaster, so it works with all your spells and traps, but it also is a level 4 tuner, and that gives you the ability to go for one of our old favorites, and that would be, well, just give it a second, it's coming up. There he is. It lets you go into Ignister, which is non-targeting removal. Probably the only form of non-targeting removal that this deck can easily access. And even when your opponent does try to negate the Ignister effect with RedEyes Dragoon, then you can come over the top with the Magic Specter Tempest. You can't destroy the Dragoon, but it doesn't matter because you're going to negate it, then spin it right off the field. Actually, no, there's one more piece of non-targeting removal. By the way, that was really slick here. Stealing the RedEyes Wyvern from the opponent's graveyard and then using it as link material. This was the other piece of non-targeting removal that the deck has access to, of course, the Borreload Dragon. And you look at this duel, you might just be like, Cap, this duel is over. This opponent got all the big monsters. They got all the disruption in the back row. There's no way that the RedEyes deck can come back. You might be surprised, guys. You might be surprised. Even another +1 during the end phase. And it's because of this boy right here. Joey in the power armor, man. Joey in the RedEyes armor, guys. You know about the Lord of Red. This card is like one of my favorite ritual cards. This card is dope because basically it can blow up 2 cards every single turn. And that is crazy levels of removal. Not to mention, RedEyes always has, they always got that trick up their sleeve. Now, this is the thing. He's going after the back row. His opponent's going to give up the Fox to try to blow up the Lord of Red. But all that's actually going to do is trigger the Lord of Red again. And now he's triggered and he's throwing a tantrum. He's getting rid of everything on the field. Say bye-bye to Ignister. I honestly think that he might have messed up here. I think he should have went after the Pendulum Scales, but that's just me. He's getting rid of 2 cards at the cost of himself. His opponent is going to go ahead and summon that RedEyes Darkness Metal Dragon back from the graveyard, and this is why RedEyes does always have power, or really basically any dragon deck, because he's going to suck up the Borolo Dragon, and then he's going to bring back the Lord of Red, and then Lord of Red can, not only do battle damage, but essentially start popping more cards during the opponent's turn. And would you look at that? The duel has been flipped on its head. He's going to activate the RedEyes Wyvern. This is going to trigger the Lord of Red again, so Lord of Red popping 3 cards in one turn. But again, I think he should have went after the Pendulum Scales. I think he should have went after Ignister during his opponent's turn, like when the opponent tried to activate Ignister. Anyways, he will get himself a RedEyes on field, and this is why you should have went after those Pendulum Scales. He's not gonna take them scales out, is because obviously eventually your opponent will find a way to out these damn big RedEyes monsters on field and or Lord of Red, and that's because Magic Specter's always got those trap cards, and they also have things like Magic Specter Tempest, which that's hard negation. He's gonna use that, fire at the Darkness Metal Dragon. That dude is dead, and now when he starts attacking, he's actually going to be able to use Tornado on the Lord of Red. Now, he will be able to use Lord of Red to pop something, but at this point, you're going to get outgrinded. A control deck is not going to lose to, like in a grind game, a control deck like Magic Specters that has so many +1s on summon, you're not going to lose to a deck like RedEyes, no matter what they have. Like, you got to win with your boss monsters. Anyways, he's going to go into Lightning Chidori. He's going to get rid of the last RedEyes on field, and that will be the end of the duel. I like the spirit of the RedEyes. I felt like Lord of Red, if nothing else, even though he didn't get the W, he at least showed his fighting spirit there, not wanting to give up. Second duel is going to be Sky Striker against, I believe this is Shadow Cyber Dragons, which is a weird mix to say the least. Anytime you have Nibiru and you're playing against Sky Striker, I feel like you're not in a great position. And I also say, I don't think Sky Striker should go first anymore. Like, I'm not really seeing what exactly is the great play for Sky Striker going first? I mean, obviously it used to be like engage, 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 but now that there's no more engage and there's nothing amazing to recycle, I look at Sky Striker as kind of like Zodiac, just blind second, play a bunch of break your opponent's board cards, and just kind of rely on the fact that you have 1 card extra deck plays. I mean, Zodiac and Sky Striker in that sense are very similar. Both decks just have 1 monster into their extra deck and removal and stuff like that. So you can see he really didn't get much accomplished in his first turn. That's why I don't think this deck should go first. Anyways, Area Zero is going to be banished. He has Kaina though, and Nibiru is just not a useful card against Sky Striker. Even with 3 Kagari, I just don't see a situation where they're going to summon 5 times in a turn. So this card just cannot be more dead. Although I guess you can use it as a light monster. Even when he has, he's going into Shizuku and Kagari and Hornet Drones, they're still not going to summon that many times. Now the Kaiju, on the other hand, is different. Jizukuru is going to be used to get the Shizuku off field. It still looks like Sky Striker's in a good position. That's the crazy thing. He's going to use his copy of Dragon, or Shadow Beast, excuse me, and he will actually use the Droll and Lockbird. That means that he will not be able to add from Cyber Dragon Hurts. That was actually it hurt the Shadow player just a little bit, missing out on essentially a plus there. Now he could have just activated Mystic Mine here and probably won through Kaina. I mean, it would have been a boring kind of derp strategy, honestly, but it would have been effective. He's not going to do that. Instead, he's going to use Area Zero on the Shadow Beast to get a Ray. That play is okay, but it does give the opponent a draw, which they draw another Nibiru, so that's useless. We learned that the last time around. I think that ultimately he's just going to be sitting on 1 monster, and maybe, okay, no sets of the Widow Anchors, and now you got Winda, and you have a copy of Construct on field, and this is looking not particularly great for the Sky Striker player, especially because he could have contacted there, but I guess he feels like with Winda on field, he doesn't need to. If your opponent goes for Ray from the graveyard, they can't use Ray's effect. He's going to take off or take the copy of Construct, try to ram it into Winda. It will be popped by Overflow, and now just check out this little cheeky play. I feel like he waited way too long to play this Mystic Mine, and when he does, his opponent, who has 2 monsters on the field, is just smartly going to chain the Almirage. Now they both have 1, and Mystic Mine's going to blow itself up because you can't get the Kagari off the field. So with the Sky Striker deck, maybe making a little bit of misplays here. This was another thing. He kept capitalizing off of him having an extra deck monster on the field. He's used Shadow Fusion at least twice in this duel. He is going to use a Contact Fusion now. And I feel like the Shadow deck basically has all the momentum at this point. He can use his Construct, ram it into his opponent's Construct, get Shadow Fusion back to his hand, and still just, have monsters on field. So you can kind of see this duel is just about over. I mean, you would basically need Engage to get out of this duel at this point. Yeah, you'd have to like top deck Engage, search yourself like an Afterburner, then get another Engage or something like that. But felt like he waited too long on the Mystic Mine. And also, I think that there's like a demonstration that shows you there really isn't a reason to go first with Sky Striker anymore. Maybe if you're playing there can only be one. Yeah, that would be like the only thing that would kind of sway me, because there can only be one in that matchup means that Shadows can only play like 1 Shadow monster, because the entire archetype for the most part is Spellcaster. I think they have like 1 or 2 Psychic monsters. But you guys know Shadow is mainly a Spellcaster deck. Anyways, this is what the Magic Specter deck looks like on paper, and it's pretty much like what you would expect. Lots of Magic Specter monsters, basically. They're all kind of like ran at 3, except Yada. I believe this is the one that searches a spell card, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is the one that searches a spell card, so it can add like your 1 copy of Cyclone, which is a decent defensive card. You got 3 copies. Like, I always saw them run Luster Pendulum because it could pop a scale, and then you could just pendulum summon that scale back and get a +1, and it was a high scale as well. But you have 3 copies of White Wind. Again, this works with the Magic Specter spells and traps. Also let you go into Ignister or any of your Synchro monsters. Ooh, even Wing Pegasus at Ignister is being ran in here, I guess, as the level 7. And keep in mind, this one works from the graveyard, and usually it's difficult for your opponent to play around. You have traps galore. This is why, again, I like Magic Specters as like the only pendulum deck I like, because kind of plays like it plays like a defensive deck. You got all these trap cards in here, including 6 copies of Solemn. That's definitely a lot. Only card in here that you really don't see that much is, I guess, something like Regeki. Most people have booted Regeki for Lightning Storm. However, it's kind of difficult in pendulum decks to use Lightning Storm, because even if you get your turn 1 board broken, there's a good chance you're gonna have at least 1 scale on the field, and then Lightning Storm will always be dead, other than specifically if you're going second. Regeki can still be a live card turns 2, 3, etc, etc. And if you're playing a control deck, you ain't going for no OTKs anyway. So there's one of the few decks where I think Regeki is actually significantly better than Lightning Storm. Anyways, if you guys are interested in this Magic Specter deck, of course, it will be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.